St. Louis, the gateway to the West, is now the gateway to the best.
Swing and get up, baby! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Home
The game is over. The series is over. The wait is over.
What's happening, nerds? This is John nerding out with cards, and tonight what I'm doing is I'm doing a video talking about card values. And you know, talking about card values can be somewhat of a polarizing thing, but recently I've been watching Cardboard Coach Neil came out with a couple videos, and both times I've watched his videos, it's like he's talking about and he's thinking about stuff that like I'm actively thinking about myself. And you know, so it's like, well, do I do a video because he's already done a video and things like that? But I think what I want to do is just go ahead and talk about it from my perspective and everything, because I think I have a few like points to make, and then maybe what would be cool is like if he and I can have like a discussion about it, kind of thing, because I think we're coming from similar places. And so first, what I want to do is I want to do a shout out, thank you for Brent Richards at Brent Richards and Baseball Cards. The guy's been huge help to me recently. And then as you all know, him and Jeff over at a Fine Card Collector did like this collaboration for us here in the YouTube community, and fans and friends of Rev Steve. And that was with this picture that Brent had a negative of, and had these printed up for us. And honestly, like, I've seen so many people that have done their Strongsville videos that had theirs given to them by Jeff show these. It is extremely difficult to show how spectacular this card is on camera when you compare it to in person, because of the type of paper. It was like a pearl something that Brent had it printed on. And then the same thing with the label that MagPro had done up at no cost. It's just like the type of paper that they did on it. It is spectacular. So I'm going to show this. The card that I have of Manny Sanguian, Ted Simmons, and Bill Madlock for my card immunity binder for Rev Steve. This is going to go next to it. So thank you, Brent. Thank you, Jeff, for doing this for us. I've seen so many people show theirs, and it means a lot to have one. And then I don't think Brent shared this, but he got to meet up with one of Steve's brothers, and Brent sent these the negative and everything to him, and it's really cool what his brother did with that. If Brent hasn't shared that yet, I don't want to steal his thunder on that. But in addition to that, which he put out there for everybody to hit him up if you want one, so I did, and I really appreciate Brent doing that. But he also sent me these. He's real good buddies with Shane, and Shane's big into the buyback, and Brent's gotten into those too. But here we got Nolan Arenado, Yadier Molina, my guy. But these are the only two so far Cardinals to be not only Gold Glovers but Platinum Glove winners, and these are buybacks. And what's really cool about this Yadi card is it's what I consider to be his last playing days card, and I've talked about that before. The 23 card I view as like a last stats card. But anyway, thank you, Brent. That was amazing. I knew this was coming in, but the bonus cards, very awesome, very well thought out. Absolutely love them. And then before I continue on, I was planning on go ahead and do my showcase video on my Yachty Gold collection, but I'm going to save that for another time, just because I thoroughly enjoyed the way that Coach Neil articulated his thoughts on his videos regarding card values. And again, it's a polarizing thing, but like like I said, I'm going to come at it from my perspective. I'm not one of those kind of guys that has apps that tracks card values, or I can look up card values for comps and everything. Honestly, like when I go to a card show or have been able to go to card shows, like that's not a drinking game you want to play. Walking around the show, and every time you hear the word comp, take a drink, because holy cow. But anyway, um, so there's three facets in which I want to kind of attack this, right? And the first one is, Neil, he talked about this with the escalating card values. Is it time to go after smaller cards, smaller collections, and everything? Which, yeah, that's somewhat similar to my Yachty Gold collection. It's no secret that one of my gold cards is the 1938 Goudy Big Head with scribbles Bob Feller. And the thing is, and I've talked about this, is the value of that card today versus a year ago is stark. It is much more valuable, even in a one grade. You're talking between $1,500 to $2,000, and that's not what it was a year ago. I mean, you were able to find some, or at least I was able to find some, between like $700, $800, $900, and it was one of those things, like that was a gold card for me, but that's an expensive card. I don't care who you are, that's an expensive card, and I think we get a little bit. I'm trying to think of the right word, but numb to these card prices when we see so many people buying just gigantic cards. You know, a Hank Aaron rookie card, a plain Days Babe Ruth card, a T206 Ty Cobb. I mean, just these gigantic cards that people are picking up, and that's great for them. That is not. I'm not saying anything negative about that, but what kind of people can go after those cards? And it's not the majority, right? We're talking about a small percentage of people that participate in the hobby have those kinds of cards as realistic goals. I'm not talking about if they bought them or not. It's just a realistic goal. And the term that Neil used was comma cards. I don't own any comma cards, and I honestly don't think that I will at this rate. You know what I mean? But going back to that feller, it was just like, okay, well, not now, because I'm going to be retiring from the Coast Guard. I don't know what my income's going to look like. I need to get a job, and I talked about that in a video before. I made a joke about trying to get a job. Do these employers know how expensive a Bob Feller card is and what have you? But okay, so then I secure the job. So then that's when I started looking at the Bob Feller card. Was okay, now that I've secured this job and my income is more known, all the the important things, and that's when I saw what they are today, and it's just like, man, and that was just kind of like a one-off thing, and I was just like, oh, and then these recent Strongsville videos, there was the commentary of museum prices at the show with regards to, I guess, some of the tables, right? I don't know, I wasn't there, but and then I've heard more and more and more about escalating or high card values, high card prices, and whatnot, and then that got me looking at that card, thinking about it a little bit more. And then Neil comes out with his videos. I'm sorry if I keep mentioning his name, but it is what it is. Go check out his channel, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And so then I got to thinking about that card even more. And it's like, even at today's value, could I go out and buy it today? That answer is yes. But at the same time, it's like, how would I feel about that card, right? The joy to cost ratio, as the card goes up in price, that ratio becomes less and less desirable, in my opinion. Like, you saw how excited I got over a $5 card, so it's certainly not the appeal of having a valuable card in my collection. Isn't that's not the driver. I want that card for different reasons, and so. And yeah, of course, it's like I've got a wife that I have to answer to and whatnot. So she'd be pretty damn pissed if I went out and spent that much money on a card. That's not the point. It's like I could afford it. It's is that fiscally responsible? Will will I enjoy that card as much as I should, knowing how much I paid for it? And so while that is a major card that I want, never say never. It's at this moment, I would say that it's not in the plans. The value of it has just risen too much for my comfort level, for my enjoyment level. And so I'm talking about a Bob Feller, you know, 38 Gaudi, $1,500 to $2,000 card at the grade in which I can, you know, because one's the lowest, right? So at the bottom of the barrel kind of thing, that's what I'm looking at. Uh, but I think that that kind of thought process applies to a lot of people, you know, and it doesn't have to be a card at that level. You know, there's got to be, you know, players who their big time card, rookie card, or whatever your gold card is. Maybe it's $100 card now that it used to be a $50 card, and that's gotten beyond your comfort level. So it's just the different price points in which we play, right? And that honestly, that $500 is it's like, am I going to enjoy this card? You know, so the Bob Filler's way beyond that. You know what I'm saying? And even at $500, like there's an Ozzie Smith card I don't have that's available right now for $400, and I'm not buying it because just to have another Ozzie Smith card at that cost is just like, you know. But you know, I'm kind of keeping this more vintage centric, so I'm not going to bring up a 1996 Ozzie Smith card in depth. But like I said, the different sandboxes in which we play, these escalating card prices, I think has people like myself reevaluating the realistic want or goals for certain cards that we do or have wanted in the past. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'm special in that, you know, but like I don't see myself, you know, saving up for that card. I could, but it will still get to a point where it's just like that's a lot of money for that card, irregardless of whether or not I saved up for it. That's still a lot of money, and it's just like, you know. But now moving on from a want card, another thing that I've thought about with these escalating card prices is cards that I have. And so like I'll show one right here, but it's just like I looked it up just because it is one of the bigger cards that I have. It's one of the more important cards I have in my collection. I've showed this before, but you know, it's my 1948 Stan Musial Bowman rookie card. And when I bought this, and it was a very expensive card for me at that time, and it was less than $300. And yeah, you can see what's on there. There's tape and whatnot on there, but a card. And I looked up completed sales on eBay. Right, again, I don't have those card apps. I honestly can't even remember the names of them. VCP might be one. Anyway, everybody else talks about them, so I'm sure you know about it, and I just look like an idiot. But just completed eBay sales. A card like this in similar to worse condition is selling for $650, and it's just like, holy shit, that's what this card has gotten to. I mean, I'm at a point right now going back to cards I don't have that I want, the 49 Leaf, and I've looked that card up too, and it's just like that's gotten beyond my comfort level. I hope to get one day, but damn, you know. And now then you look at this card, and it's just like, whew, man, I'm glad I bought this when I did, because this is more so than the Leaf, a card that just because I'm a huge Cardinals fan, like this is like a have to have kind of card. The Bob Feller isn't, because I got the 41 double play, and that's more significant in my opinion. The 49 Leaf is not a rookie card. This is that blah 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 blah. But this is a monster, major, important card as a Cardinals fan, card collector, those kind of things. That, man, I would have to find some way to get this card, and it's almost doubled in price compared to what I paid for it just a few years ago. And so, why does all this matter for the current state of prices and everything? It's just like, I am damn thankful that I have this card today, because the thought of going after it now at the prices that they are at now really kind of sucks. So I was like, man, I looked this up, and I remember Justin, Go Crazy, card collecting. He has one of these, which thankfully he does. And I remember he said that he did like a trade. He traded a bunch of cards to get into it, and one of them was an Ozzie Smith rookie card. And I was just like, dude, how could you give up an Ozzie Smith rookie card? It's the greatest rookie card ever made. But obviously what he did was the right move. One, it's a Sam Musial rookie card. I mean, come on. You can go find an Ozzie Smith rookie card like that. You can choose from 300 or 400 of them on eBay on any given day. It's just me being an idiot. But what if he had tried to do that trade today? I don't know if he could pull it off. I mean, this is such a huge card, and like I said, the card values that they are at today, it's becoming more and more difficult, because a barrier to collecting is money, right? And so, I would say diehards that are really, really wanting that card, good luck to them. And then hopefully more people that want it already have it, just because of that kind of thing, right? But now moving forward to Ozzie Smith being kind of that tie-in, is I've showed a ton of times. I have an ungraded Ozzie Smith rookie card that I bought when I was 16, right? Now, I have also shown this card, and it's a PSA 8 Ozzie Smith rookie card. And the reason why it's still in the slab is because I already have that ungraded one. So I didn't go all, dumbass and break it out like I did this Musial, right? Your opinions on that are what they are. So it's like, I might as well just keep this in here. But when I bought this in 2020 for $100. And after watching Neil's videos and whatnot, and then like looking up the Musial, the Feller, and everything like that, I was just like, I wonder what this card is selling for these days. And so a PSA 8 Ozzie Smith is selling for $500. I mean, there were some sales that were more than that, some sales that were less than that, of course, as far as eBay completed sales. But this card from this grader at this grade is selling for around $500. And it's like, how in the hell is this a $500 card? I mean, it is the greatest rookie card ever made. I have 3 of them. I got my autographed one too. And it's because I have that ungraded one, which I prefer in that state. Because I have that autographed one, this one I bought just because I was like, oh, I have to have a graded copy. And, well, now I don't really care about that. So it's like, does it make sense to keep this card? Right? I just complained about the value of a 49 Leaf Musial. I just complained about the value of the 38 Feller Big Head. So would selling a card like this make a major dent towards purchasing one of those 2 cards? Now, I'll go back to, irregardless, forking over that kind of money for a card is a tough pill to swallow, whether or not it was earned through a paycheck or or selling a card. You know what I mean? But that's a whole thought process that you kind of like internally have to think about yourself. Now, I don't know if I could bring myself to sell an Ozzie Smith rookie card. That's a whole nother thing. But for the average person, having a card that increases in value at such a rate that it's just like, does it make sense to keep it when there's other cards you want that, all that good stuff that, we've heard why people sell cards to buy cards, the consolidation movement and all that good stuff. And so I messaged Jeff over at Fine Collector. It's just like, holy cow, it has me thinking. But I don't know. Those are 3 points, that with the card values and watching Neil's videos that I thought about anyway. And I figured just kind of like give my take on it. Like I said, there's the big time one card that you still want, but is it getting out of reach? Is it becoming borderline irresponsible, depending on your station in life, right? I'm trying to pay this house down, early, right? And so my goal with that is to have it paid off in, let's say, 5 to 6 years. That makes a hell of a lot more sense than buying a big time card. Then there's being thankful for the cards that you already have. And I'm sure all of us have those cards in our collection that, whew, boy, thank God I bought it when I did because of what they go for now. And then you have other cards that it's just like, whew, that's increase in value. Should I consider selling it? And I think these are all things that all of us collectors, whether it's pre-war guys, vintage guys, modern guys, ultra modern guys, that I think all of us kind of think about, because there's cards across the eras that fit into those 3 categories. And so I don't know. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are, whether it's your own video, whether it's in the comments and stuff like that. Hopefully all this makes sense. And it was just kind of fun to, talk about it from my point of view. So anyway, this is how I'm nerding out. Thanks for nerding out with me.